Basically, we're talking about motivation, and we're talking about how do we get ourselves to do things that somehow we know we logically should be able to get ourselves to do, but we just don't quite kind of make the mark, right? And if you recall, when I was talking about I can do it, I was talking about I, meaning that it's the responsibility, the person, right? The can spoke to the possibility of something, and the do it spoke to the action of it. So what I thought I'd do today is take that a little bit deeper and split that up into 3 different versions of I can do it. Okay? So that we can kind of see the kind of games that we play with ourselves when we're on that path to whatever we've, either consciously or subconsciously chosen to aim for. Okay? So is that okay? Yeah. All right. So I'll just put some things up on the whiteboard. I've actually brought my own marker. I can do it. Now, the first version of I can do it that I'm going to talk about is when we turn I can do it into I can do everything. Now, this is a very prevalent condition, okay? Because each of these versions you're going to see, there's 3 of them, are based on some fears, some very common fears. Now, the fear behind I can do everything is the fear of missing out. And the fear of missing out is basically when, you're running around and you don't really know what you want. You know you want a result, so you're going for everything. You're doing this, and then someone suggests that, and you do that, and someone suggests something new, and that comes along, and you go there, and you think to yourself, gee, I'm going to get it, I'm motivated, I'm in there, I'm moving all the time, surely this has got to work, right? And we know that it doesn't work. So let me give you a couple of examples. Let's imagine, and I love the example of the airplane taking off on tarmac, right? If we were running an airline like this, the pilot would be starting one plane on the tarmac, stopping it, jumping out, running to the next plane, moving it a few hundred metres down the runway, jumping out of that one, going into the other plane, moving that one a few hundred metres up the runway, and ultimately he or she can have 10 planes moving along the tarmac, but how many of them are going to take off? Not one of them, right? And it's the same thing when we look at our health. Okay, you can't hear this today and it sounds great and you're going to start it, you're going to do it, then you go out there and someone else tells you something else. You go, that sounds great too. It sounds great because you don't have enough depth of information yet to be able to determine which is good and which really isn't. Does that make sense? Right? So you go out there and you start something else and I'm going to do this and I'm going to do this and I'm going to do this and I'm going to do this. And the other problem that we have when we're doing that is that in the same way that the planes don't take off, as I said, that doesn't take off either. Right. So what's the cure for living this kind of life? And what is this kind of life? It's a life of maximums. That's an unnatural state for humans. Right? And what makes it really worse is that it has no why, but many, many, many whats. So you don't really have your why. You just have lots of different things that you're attracted to, you're trying because you think you know what you're heading for. Does that make sense? So the cure for this is fart. That's the cure. The cure is fart. So what's fart? Look at everything you have in your life. Okay? It's not a side effect of protein bar, surprise. Look through everything you have in your life and either make a decision to file it. If it's not something that you know is not heading where you're meant to be heading right now and is distracting you, file it. Okay, get it out of your life for now. Or act on it. Make a decision about what you are going to act on and stick to that. The other thing you need to do is refer some things. Some things you don't have to do. You can outsource them, give them away, clear up your space so that you can focus on the things that are important. Okay? Not everything that you're doing is important, but everything seems urgent. Does that make sense? And the last thing is, you can trash it. Some things you can just stop doing, and they're not going to impact your life in a bad way. In fact, you'll feel lighter. You'll feel like you're heading there faster. Does that make sense? All right? So, either file it, act on it, refer it, or trash it. So the cure to being a person who wants to do everything is to just have a fart. Okay. Now, let's go to the other extreme. Over here is the can I do anything? At this end, the fear is of getting it wrong. So you're sitting there and you're saying, let's go to the plane example. The plane wants to take off, but we're not going to take off yet because, well, the uniforms are a certain colour of beige, and we don't know if that beige is really the right beige for the uniforms. So yes, the plane is fully functional, and yes, it's full of petrol, and yes, we've got the best, but we just don't know. I have an issue about the buns, because the buns in economy are coming in, plastic wrappers, and they're all squishy and whatever, and the buns in the first class are all. So let's stop everything, because we haven't got the right uniform, we haven't got the right food, or we haven't got, someone's going to argue about, oh, well, if we give people, let's give people healthier buns. Why don't we change to whole grain? Maybe spelt bread. Let's do something healthy. And no, we can't have that. Someone else pipes up and says, this is all happening inside our head, because if we do that, they'll use the toilet more. Then we have to buy more toilet paper. That's more expensive. Okay, so we have an economic reason to stop now. Okay? And it goes on and on and on and on. Right? This constant hyper-analysis that goes on, bouncing, ping-ponging into our minds, that's how our thinking is, and we never get off the ground. We never do anything. Does that make sense? All right? So, I had a few examples here, but you get the picture. Once we start doing that with our health and our diet, can you see how we'll never do anything? We just sit there and become couch experts, okay, until we are shaped like the couch. And we make things too difficult for ourselves if we do that. Everything, we're too strict. No, I'll do it. But, I'll do it when, it's funny because, Royce is a good friend of mine, and he always tells me that when he speaks to people who new clients at the gym, they'll often say to him, I can't go to a gym, I'm not fit enough yet. When I look better, then I'll go to the gym. Because the gym's not about getting healthy, right? The gym's about hanging out, looking good, physical social media. Okay. So the problem here is that this is a world of minimums. Okay? This is the world of minimums. This is, again, you don't have the right why, and you have almost no what's. So that doesn't fly either. So what is the cure for this? The cure for this is to burp. Because farting and burping will cure anything. Believe you are plenty. Believe you are plenty. Start. Okay? It's never ever, you're never going to have a situation where you feel efficient enough. You're never ever going to have a situation where you feel versatile enough to do what you're supposed to do in your life. You're never ever going to have the situation where you feel expert enough to now make it start. You're never going to feel resourced enough. Enough time, enough money, enough whatever. Okay, enough support. You're never going to have more yearning or enough yearning for the thing to make you want to do it. You're never going to be perfect enough. Just start it. Have a fart, have a burp. And let's do the middle thing. The middle thing is where you say, I need to do that thing. Okay, I need to do that thing. And it's defined. And guess what? Here's the interesting thing, and I made allusion to this in my last presentation. See how these are based on fears? Fears of, getting it wrong, fears of missing out. There's a fear here too. So don't, fear is your friend if you play it the right way. Okay? And the fear here is fear of missing the mark. Fear of not being who you are. Fear of not being the best possible thing you can be. Fear of not actually ever being physically, emotionally, intellectually, etc., the person that you can be. And we know that when you're not healthy, that you can't be that. Right? So there's a fear of missing the mark. And this is a world of optimums. You don't want maximums and minimums. Life is not about that. Life is about the balance. Life is about optimums. Okay? And over here, you have the right why, and you have the right what. And in the case of the plane, you're in the one plane, you've chosen the plane, you actually have chosen that plane because it's flying to the destination that you know you're meant to go to. So you're on the right plane. Okay? Then it's a matter of staying on that plane, committing to that path, and continuing to go on little by little by little by little until it gets faster and faster and faster and faster. And then what happens is it gets faster and faster, it gets scarier and scarier. It feels like you're kind of losing a little bit of control. And a lot of people jump off at that point. Not nice. Okay? You don't want to splat. You basically want to stay on that plane, and then just after the scariest point, it takes off. And then how different is that feeling? Then you're in a phase where you can't imagine ever not being in that situation. You can't imagine wanting to struggle down there, flying 10 different planes, 10 meters each. Or being over here thinking, oh, I can't fly the plane because, well, did you check the tyres again? And, the gas going to be different. Okay? That's what we do with our life and with our health. So in optimum, it's not about geometrical space food. I've shaved off the extra gram of protein that I was meant to have in my diet. Here it is. It's about, hey, this is where you are. This is where you need to be. Let's do a step-by-step, small, habit-forming, life-changing commitment to health that allows us to get the results that we want to get. But not just for today, but to get us into a place where it's as difficult for us to be unhealthy as it has been in the past for us to be healthy. I give you that challenge today. Thank you.